You have been dead for 4 days. You are lying in a granite box at the bottom of a pyramid, and a priest you never met in life is standing near your feet, reading aloud a plan to hunt down the gods, tie them up, cook them, and serve them to you in order of size. This is not a curse. This is the funeral. Welcome to the Crooked Museum. Mind the step. The ceiling in here is quite low and quite blue. Your pyramid belongs to Unas, last king of the 5th dynasty, around 2345 BC. It is the smallest finished royal pyramid in Egypt, which is the first indication that this is a man who spent his budget elsewhere. Inside, it is astonishing. The ceiling is painted deep blue and scattered with gold stars. The west end, where your sarcophagus is sunk into the floor, is faced in white alabaster, carved and painted to look like the front of a royal palace. Reed hangings, doorways, the lot. You are not buried in a tomb. You are buried in a house, under a sky. And on every wall, in neat columns, cut in low relief and filled with blue pigment, is the oldest religious writing in Egypt. 283 spells. Most are what you'd expect. Offerings, protection, instructions for getting up. Then there's the one on the east gable of the antechamber. It opens like weather. The sky is overcast, the stars are darkened. The boughs shake, the bones of the earth gods tremble. Something has gone wrong with the universe, and it takes a moment to work out what. It's you. You have got up, and the sky has noticed. The text calls you a god, who lives on his fathers and feeds on his mothers, and then, in case anyone was hoping for a metaphor, it says it plainly. He who eats men and lives on gods. You are hungry, not for food, for what the gods are made of. Here is where it stops being poetry and becomes staffing. Because you are a king, you do not do your own hunting. A crew is named, and every one of them has a job title. Grasper of the topknot lassos the gods. He catches them by the hair. He who is upon the willows binds them. A serpent called Raised Head watches them, so nothing wanders off. And then the throat cutting is handed to Khonsu. Now, if you know Khonsu at all, you know him from Thebes, 1,000 years later, the moon god, the gentle divine child, the sun in a family of 3. Here at the beginning, he has a different job. Here he is called the Slayer of Lords, and he beheads gods for the king. Everyone in Egyptian religion has a first draft. This is his. And the cooking goes to Shesmu. You may not know Shesmu. Shesmu is the god of the oil and wine press. Think about that for 1 second. The god whose entire portfolio is putting things in a press and crushing them until liquid comes out is the god they hand the gods to. It is Shesmu who cuts them up for him, cooking for him a meal of them in his evening cooking pots. That is not a coincidence, and it is not a joke the Egyptians missed. Shesmu's presses run red either way. This is a pun with a body count, carved into a wall 4,300 years ago. And then the text does something no one ever expects. It gives you a schedule. The great gods are your morning meal. The middle-sized gods are your evening meal. The little ones are your night meal. 3 meals a day sorted by rank. The old gods, the elderly men and women among them, are not eaten at all. They are burned as fuel. And what you actually take from them is never the meat. It's their magic and their spirits. You feed on hearts for wisdom, on the lungs of the wise ones. You eat the red crown and swallow the green. You take the intelligence of every god one at a time at breakfast. The result is stated like a contract. The lifetime of the king is eternity. Its limit is everlastingness. You ate the gods, and now you cannot be removed. Except, go back and look at where this is carved. It is not over your body. It is not in the burial chamber at all. It is on the east gable of the antechamber, the wall by the door. Which means these are not your words. You are dead. You are in the next room. Somebody else stood here and said all of this out loud in a small blue room with a lamp to a man in a box who could not hear a word of it. The most violent text in Egyptian religion is not a boast. It's a liturgy, someone's job. Now, the internet will tell you this proves the Egyptians once ate people. It doesn't. There is no skeletal evidence for ritual cannibalism in Egypt. The pre-dynastic material at Hierakonpolis shows scalping, decapitation and dismemberment. Grim, but not the same thing at all. The memory of a real practice reading comes from reading the poem and nothing else. What scholars mostly think now is stranger and better. Christopher Eyre argues the whole thing runs on wordplay. Puns and sound matches stack so densely that the horror is partly untranslatable. It's butchery recreated verbally, a sacrifice performed in language. Katja Gobes reads it in the sky. At dawn, the rising sun swallows the stars. Every morning, something enormous eats the gods and is renewed by it, which would make this not a recipe. It would make it a sunrise. Here's the part that gets me. Somebody, at some point, decided it was too much. The hymn appears in exactly 2 pyramids, yours and Teddy's, the king who followed you. The next 3 kings, Pepi I, Merenra, Pepi II, leave it out entirely. It survives a few centuries longer as a coffin spell, number 573, and then it is never copied again. Egypt wrote down the most extraordinary thing it ever thought about death, used it twice, and quietly stopped. 1100 years later, a prince called Kamwasit, Ramses II's son, and arguably history's first archaeologist, found your pyramid falling apart, repaired it, and carved a note on the south face saying he'd done it. He put his name on the building. Nobody put their name on the spell. You have been dead for 4 days, the sky has gone dark, and in the next room a man with a lamp is telling the universe what's for breakfast. This has been the Crooked Museum. Mind the exit, and whatever you do, don't touch the pot.